until we can figure out the best way to address this budget shortfall. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you, Mike. Okay, Crystal, accreditation update.
Yes, thank you. So we are moving right along with the institutional self-evaluation report. We have only 3 standards left to go, 1C, 4B, and 4C. So we are kind of like really excited about that. The next drop deadline date for us is June 9th, 2020, which is when Dr. Alvarado needs all of the evidence available to her that you have promised her and the committee has promised, because she is then going to start the very arduous task of aligning the evidence and the numbering of the evidence and making it available so when we submit the report. And let me just tell you, that is going to be a very, very difficult
task.
Yeah. So let's, when you see her or talk to her, you probably won't ever see her. If you ever talk to her, just give her big pats on the back, because this is a very hard thing to do. So we feel really good. So far, we think it's coming together nicely. The committee has done a great job reviewing it, and it will be available in the fall to go through shared governance. So thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. Any questions before we move on to old items? No? All right, so now I'm going to turn it back over to you, Crystal, because we're going to our APs.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it up, but I'm gonna ask Matt to talk about the first one. If I can get this to work and share my screen. There, Matt, are you there?
I am. Hi.
Okay. So the first one we're going to deal with is 7210.
Yeah.
I kind of understand what you did with 7210 was, which is you just basically moved a portion out and moved it into 7211. Is that correct?
Kind of. So
okay.
7210 has a bunch of parts in it. It's faculty hiring, and I think it's section 10 referenced an equivalency committee, and it described the equivalency committee and the process. And the change to 7210 is to remove the description of the equivalency committee from this AP. There's a different AP, which you'll see in a minute, 7211, that also describes an equivalency committee and process. And up till now, these two documents had been in conflict with each other. So we're leaving in, and you see it highlighted, a reference to AP 7211, but separating out the equivalency portion. That's the only change to 7210.
Okay.
But we presented these two in tandem with each other because the substantive change to the equivalency granting process is described in 7211. And you'll see it in a minute, but up until now, equivalency was granted by a unanimous decision on the part of 3 members of the Academic Senate Equivalency Committee, plus 2 disciplined faculty or related disciplined faculty, plus a dean over the division where equivalency is in question. So 6 members, and it would be unanimous approval. And the equivalency committee requested a change to this. They really wanted something that wasn't unanimous. And so after some negotiation, and I was kind of a go-between between the committee and some executive members of the college, in particular our superintendent president. And we brought in Stephanie Fleming, who came up with this great idea of 7 members bringing in an additional dean to grant equivalency. And of those 7, 6 need to approve. And this was a marriage of 2 really requests that were at odds with each other. On the one hand, the equivalency committee wanted something that wasn't unanimous. And on the other hand, our superintendent president needed something whereby a dean could not be the only dissenting, we need a dean to be on board with granting any equivalency.
Can I just point out that the reason I felt strongly about that is that one of the roles of the dean is to ensure that whatever the equivalency committee is voting on or considering, the outcome of it conforms to Title V. And so there has to be somebody in the room who takes on that responsibility, that whatever the decision is, it is within Title V.
Right. And the committee eventually understood that, and they accepted this proposal after a little bit of back and forth. And so equivalency is not unanimous, but any equivalency has to have a dean sign off on it.
Mhm.
So that's the change to 7211. And the second dean, I think it's worth noting, there's a discipline dean, so that will vary per division.
Mhm.
And then a kind of a standing dean who will be able to weigh in on the processes throughout, as time passes. So there's a stability element with some members of the committee and the dean, although the members of the committee are there's a rotation there. Well, it's not a consistent set of 3 from the committee, but there are from the equivalency committee. And then there's a change to AP 7211 with .1, which is just the equivalency form, and it includes an additional place for the standing dean to sign as well. These were after some discussion, they were approved by the Academic Senate upon recommendation from the equivalency committee.
Great. Thank you.
Sure thing. It may be worth noting that 7210 is going to be, and 11, or they're going to come back. This was just one change for one process. So, stay tuned. I don't know when.
Okie dokie.
I'm going to go ahead and move to approve AP 7210, 7211, and 7211.1.
Is there a second?
Second from Sheila.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. Crystal.
Okay, we are on to 3518. Here we go. Child abuse reporting. And if I could get Mike Bush, if he's still out there, to talk about this.
Yes, this is a legally mandated policy that we should have in place since we have a child development center. And it says that we're mandated child abuse reporters.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Tito, move to approve.
Second?
Second.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nay? Any abstentions? All right. Next.
Next one is 3520. This is also a legally mandated policy that we should get in place for accreditation. This policy requires the college to have a MOU with the local police agency and the MOU defines which cases they will handle and which cases the campus police will handle, and also how they will support one another in the jurisdiction. So that's it.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I move, Sheila.
Second,
Maria will second.
any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? All right. Okay, next.
Mike?
Okay, this is my favorite policy, alcoholic beverages. This is also a legally mandated policy about for having alcoholic beverages on campus. This one is slightly changed because we've taken an option that alcoholic beverages can be served on the campus at a fundraising event to benefit a nonprofit corporation, i.e. our foundation. This will be a big benefit to our foundation, so they don't have to rent the Athenaeum every time they want to do an event. We could host it on campus.
Yep. Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. This is Gina.
Okay, second,
Second, Veronica.
any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All righty, get us some booze. Okay, Mike.
All right, the next is a much needed policy. It's weapons on campus. The policy requires that anyone who brings a weapon on campus must register themselves and disclose to our police chief that they are bringing a weapon on campus. And where we run into that is with other law enforcement may be coming on campus. Also, other law enforcement may be students on campus and have a concealed weapon. Where the other issue that came up is we discovered last semester that we teach a class on firearms, and that the district owns 40 firearms, and our faculty and students have firearms for this class. So we wanted to get our policies in place.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Matt, I'll move just because it's Mike's favorite.
Do I have a second?
Maria will second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. One of the managers brought up at our while we approved it, and that's fine. Mike, I just wanted to make sure during the AP, or because obviously it doesn't have to be here. I understand just the interest of because it sounds like this is our weapons policy. But one of the things that another manager brought up was the fact that when folks bring fake weapons that are realistic looking, whether or not that's going to be any mention of that on the AP, just because this is very strict. Obviously, what you were mentioning makes total sense, but they were concerned about the realistic weapons that exist now that are fake, and whether or not folks would be able to bring those on campus, because that's not written into there.
Correct. That would be in an AP. I believe it should also be in a student conduct for using simulated weapons, also even squirt guns, things like that are usually prohibited.
Roger that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? All right. Okay,
You're going to get invited.
the next one is delegation of authority, human resources. And basically what this would do.
Bob's here.
Oh, you are here. Yay, Bob, you can talk about this.
I can. Good morning, everyone. So happy to be invited to this meeting.
Wait, how far apart are you two?
I know, you better put that mask on.
No, there's a story here. We'll talk about this later, Matthew.
Not when it's streaming on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, there's not a story. So anyway, delegation of authority, this is a policy that we wanted to provide the president the authority to, particularly in the hiring process. Right now, the hiring process is rather cumbersome because nobody can start their jobs under our current practice until the board has approved the hire. And as all of you know, that's been quite problematic to getting people to start. And depending on when we were making job offers, we were unable to bring somebody in for up to 6 weeks, sometimes even longer, depending. And that was causing us some problems, and also individuals who are trying to find work because, you know, their job had already been notified that they had, you know, found a job somewhere else and they were getting let go early. You know, and so we wanted to be able to give the president the authority, or the board give the president the authority to be able to say, yeah, we can get these people started and they can start in 2 weeks, and have the board and have the president be able to do that with their, you know, appropriate signatures of all the people involved in the hiring process. So this was just to give more latitude so we can get our processes and get people onboarded quicker, faster, better, instead of having to wait 6 to 8 weeks to get somebody on board. And I'm sure all of you have felt that pain.
Yeah.
So that was the purpose. That was the intent. Nothing more, nothing less. It was really to get the operations from the HR side to be able to get people onboarded, get people in, get people's paperwork done, and get them started quicker, faster, better.
Move to approve. Tito?
Okay, do I have a second?
Second, Gary.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, this is Matt.
Yes.
So due to an emergency, Bob was not able to attend Monday's Academic Senate meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And while we looked at the policies, nobody was willing to make a motion to approve them. So these have not yet actually been approved by the Academic Senate. I'm talking about 7350 and
73.
7110 and 7350. So I would actually move that we postpone this to the next College Council meeting so that the
Okay.
Academic Senate has a chance to weigh in.
Second, Gina.
Okay,
Would you like me to address the resignations piece then?
yeah, let's go ahead and address that. And then that way, when it comes back on the next agenda, people will know what we're talking about.
Then I'll withdraw my motion, but I'll make it in a minute.
I'm sorry, like I said, yeah, I wasn't able to attend your
Totally
meeting. As you all know why, because you all got that notice the following day, so you know what I was doing.
Everything became clear then.
Yes.
Dr.
Um,
Erica,
The resignations piece
Hello?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Because the point of order is that I think Tito and I have to rescind our motion.
Very well. Motion rescinded.
Okay,
Then I second rescind. Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure we do it in order, because since Matt requesting to have it.
all right,
Yeah. Sorry.
awesome. No, that's okay.
7350 resignations is a fairly common protocol at community colleges in California, that when somebody submits their resignation and the president signs off on it, that resignation is final and that the district has accepted it and we move forward as a district. This has caused us some consternation when people have retired and then decide that they want to pull it
Okay.
back and change the dates and move into another year. And so it makes it very difficult for the administration to plan as people continually want to change. This has happened, for example, particularly in negotiated times where, you know, there may be an incentive or there may not be an incentive and nobody knows, but yet they're going to pull their resignations in the hope of. And so as we're trying to figure out our needs across the campus, which obviously may not be a whole lot now, but in the future could be, it just helps us plan better, and it forces people to really think about their decision, that this is not a casual decision and that it can be changed. It's just, I mean, it's really no different, you know, so this is including resignations and retirements. Once you submit, it goes to the president. the president signs off on it, then it's final. Are there any questions on that?
So this is a no backseas policy.
It
That's
really-
right. This is
it
a
really-
no backseas policy. Yeah.
And it's operationally driven. It really is. You know, it's a moving target if you keep changing the dates for us. You know, we can't fill the position. We normally don't want to go out too early when somebody quits their position. You know, normally we try to figure out when are we going to go out and fill that position again.
Mhm.
And then they come back and say, oh, I decided I want to do it. You know, I want to put it out a month. Well, you know, we've already started advertising for the job. You know, so it just makes it operationally better for us to be able to do what we need to do to move the place forward.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll wait on a motion on that until the Senate's had a chance, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, Mike, you're back up with 7,600.
Yes, this is also a legally mandated policy. We need to either have a policy that we have a police department or a policy that we have a security department. Since we have a police department, we thought we'd do the policy to have a police department. So this allows us to have a police department, and that the superintendent and president will establish the minimum qualifications for the employment of the chief of police.
And has this gone to the Senate yet, Matt?
Yes,
It has, okay.
yes.
So is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Tito?
A second?
Second, Sheila.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion is passed. Okay, and AP 6302, purchases of food and refreshments. I did see Jesse come in.
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
And this one has also gone through the Academic Senate on Tuesday.
Okay.
So this AP outlines the do's and don'ts when making decisions to purchase food with district fund. And district fund that we are talking about here is strictly the unrestricted district fund. So if the money is going to come from a grant, or whether it's state or federally funded, then the rules that accompany those grants will supersede this AP. So in short, this AP outlines that food and beverages are permitted to be purchased when it's necessary, infrequent, and not extravagant. So for example, when a meeting takes place during lunchtime where it prevents attendees from breaking for lunch, then it would be allowable for food and beverages to be served at this particular function. But on the other hand, if the meal is regularly served to a reoccurring meeting to the same group of folks, then the allowability would be in question in this case. And it may be more appropriate in this scenario to not use general fund, aka the taxpayer money. Instead use other local funding source such as the foundation or any type of booster money, which is less restrictive. So that sums up this AP.
Can I have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll move to approve. This is Matt.
Second?
Second, Sheila.
Okay, discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, good to go, Jesse.
Thank you.
Okay, the next is the proposed COVID-19 grading policy for spring 2020. Matt?
Yes, so this is actually the fruit of work done by several folks, one of whom was Stephanie Fleming, and she's the one who presented it to the Academic Senate. And as you can see, like the guiding principles were basically not to hurt students because of COVID-19 and to be flexible and to keep them enrolled in classes for as long as we can possibly make that happen. So the basic plan is that all F grades would automatically revert to an EW. All W grades would or be converted. All W grades would be converted to an EW. There was a little concern about some folks who might have some need to keep an F on their record, and essentially maybe veterans or international students, they need to show that they completed a course even if they weren't successful. So to maintain their financial standing. And so if a student gets an F and needs that F on their transcript for some reason or another, they will have the option to petition to keep it as an F. Students earning a D grade can petition for an EW, and those petitions are, they're basically automatically granted, but the D grade would stand unless a student opts for the EW. EW, by the way, is an excused withdrawal, and it doesn't have the GPA and PCC financial aid impact that a W would have. Student services will be reaching out to students who earn Ds to let them know what their options are. And then for courses that weren't able to be completed, these are where the entire class had to be basically suspended. The instructor will assign an incomplete. There will be a new incomplete form for the COVID situation, and students will have a year to complete the work. And then finally, the petition to convert a D to EW or to select pass, no pass will be 2 weeks after the final grades are submitted. The catch here is we don't actually know when final grades will be due at the moment, whether there's going to be some flexibility at the end or not. And of course, there are implications there regarding summer, regarding faculty being able to get their grades in. So that's still in the works, but this was viewed to be, I think, a gentler grading policy than we currently have. And the Academic Senate they had a couple of clarification questions, but this is supported by the Academic Senate. So I move.
Okay, are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Oh, Matt, there are other grades out there besides the ones listed here, particularly under the incomplete. There's an I/A, there's an I/P, there's an I/NP. Are those all included, supposed to be included in just?
I don't know about an I/A because.
I know, it seems silly, but it exists.
Right. So for those of you who may need to know, the second grade in the I is what the grade would revert to after a year if the student does not complete the incomplete contract. So I'm not sure. The bigger answer to your question is I'm not sure of the status of the ones that are not listed. The IA, IP to me really seems like the IA, which is I've already opted for pass, no pass. If I don't do the work, I'm still going to get a pass. That one seems a little weird to me. The INP is the one I suppose would be that I'd have to check on, because it would make sense that if, actually now you bring up a bigger, or your question brings up a bigger question for me. And that is, in the case of an IF, would that revert to an EW as well?
Right.
So I need to find out if INP would do anything. I have a feeling it would just stay as an NP, but I need to double check on the IF, whether it's going to convert to an EW. My sense is that the intent of this document is that yes, it would, but I can't speak to that for sure.
Now this has gone through the Senate, correct?
Nobody yeah, we didn't catch that.
So I would imagine that we need to approve it as it is right now, and then you can follow up with any sort of additions.
Can I comment?
Yeah.
So actually, I the IA, obviously, I think the thought was that if a student is getting an incomplete, it's not likely that they've done sufficient work to earn an A. But in regard to the IP or INP, the P or NP, the student petitions for that. And if they have petitioned for a pass, no pass grade, then if it was a B or a C, they'll get a pass. If it was a D or an F, they'll get a non-pass. And then if you go down on the bullets here, if they get an F, it will automatically be converted to an EW. If they get a D, the student has the option to petition to have it converted to an EW or to keep it. So those basically those incomplete grades, when they become the grade, they then follow the same rules as the grades that we had talked about before. And that is covered by the bullets underneath here. It's also covered, another part, Crystal, that was provided is the grading option flow diagram. And so that was sent out to everyone, but that also kind of shows that and it walks that through. And so you'll see one of the things for the incomplete, the final box on the flow diagram says that all rules for spring 2020 completed course possible grades apply to the default grades. And so once that happens and those incompletes convert to one of the possible grades, then the rules that I kind of just walked through all kick into place as well.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve it, Matt.
Second,
Second it, Sheila.
any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All righty. So we have come to the point in our meeting of announcements. Does anyone have an announcement? All right, hearing none. Awesome sauce, people. Record time, 1 hour. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Gracias.
Killing it.
Good luck